The following message has been issued at the request of the Wisconsin National Guard, the Green Bay Police Department, and the United States Army. This is a civil danger warning for the following areas. In northeastern Wisconsin, Outagamie County, Brown County, Winnebago County, and Calumet County. This civil danger warning will remain in effect until further notice. Approximately 1 hour ago, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration received a distress signal from the space station Freedom. In this distress signal, they stated that an unknown branch of the Rutland government boarded the station, in order to evacuate the researchers on the Freedom. The last message that was received, was from the lead researcher on the space station, Professor Leonard Thomas, who stated that the Rutlands wished to pass along a singular warning to NASA and planet Earth, that a distant planet, designated as Wasp 121b, was not devoid of life as humanity believed, and that they were the true perpetrators of all previous Rutland attacks on Earth, and that they detected a massive warship on a direct course for the Earth. Before further communications could be conducted between these Rutlands and the United States government, they successfully evacuated the space station Freedom. Around 3 minutes after another communication from Professor Thomas stating that he was alright was received, a large and extremely powerful antimatter explosion took place upon the Freedom, completely destroying the space station. Once the light from the explosion dissipated, the Rutlands were proven correct, when a large starship was noticed occupying the location where the Freedom once was. This starship appears to be around 800 miles wide, and satellite imagery has revealed that demonic beings much like those which have been attacking Warren Air Force Base have been pouring out of the ship, and are heading directly for the Russian countryside. It is unknown if the demons are the ones operating this starship, or if they once resided on Wasp 121b, but at this time, all citizens are being warned that demonic attacks may begin to take place across North America at any time, and that citizens need to go to their basements at once. Do not allow any demons to notice you if they invade your area. Finally, within the past 30 minutes, the Monolith which once resided above Americus, Georgia has moved directly above Lambeau Field in Green Bay. At this time, no sinkhole has begun to develop, but Kahill and his associates have also been spotted in the area. Green Bay police report that they received a phone call from Mr. Hill, asking them to meet him inside one of the Lambeau suites inside of the stadium, advising them to also bring the mayor of Green Bay along with the mayor of Appleton with them to this meeting. At this time, all citizens within 10 blocks of Lambeau Field are advised that the National Guard will be going door to door and relocating citizens to areas further away from the stadium as a precaution. The flying man who was previously spotted along with the robotic being have been spotted walking the streets surrounding Lambeau Field, and there have been at least 5 reports of citizens being taken from their homes directly into the stadium at this time. It is unknown why they are doing this, but all citizens are advised to cooperate if they are approached by these 2 individuals. This is the emergency notification system serving the Green Bay area. This is Channel 12. We will continue to serve the Green Bay area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. This message will repeat. This is the emergency notification system. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Green Bay Police Department and the Governor of the State of Wisconsin. This is an update on the arrival of the Monolith and Kahill above Lambeau Field in Green Bay. At this time, contact has been made with Kahill and his associates inside of the stadium, and while demands have been made by Kahill, law enforcement will not be disclosing said demands to the public at this time. Law enforcement and civil authorities are working to resolve the situation as quickly and as peacefully as possible, but at this time, an involuntary evacuation order has been issued to all residents who are currently within 5 miles of Lambeau Field, as while Kahill has not shown any signs of hostility as of yet, it is believed that an attack could take place at any time. In addition, all roads within a 15-mile radius of Lambeau Field will remain closed, and due to the state of martial law which still exists, anyone who is seen outside and is not evacuating within the 5-mile evacuation zone will be arrested without counsel. Finally, the President has successfully made contact with Professor Thomas, and it appears that Professor Thomas and his Rutland saviors have infiltrated the Starship which now resides where the space station Freedom once did. So far, it has been reported that the beings who are controlling this warship have the ability to change their appearances, and that they seem to be intentionally impersonating Rutlands. Within moments of this report, a strange voice was heard, and within the past 15 minutes, a video has been received from the occupants of this warship, and it appears that they have taken Professor Thomas and his Retland companions hostage, and they have made a simple demand. If you do not surrender Kahill into our custody within the next 12 hours, we will destroy South America. At this time, the United States government is considering their options, and further updates will be transmitted as they become available. Once again, an involuntary evacuation order has been issued for anyone residing within 5 miles of Lambeau Field, and anyone seen outside for any reason other than evacuation will be arrested without counsel. This is the emergency notification system. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines are to remain open for official use only. The emergency notification system has been activated. This is an administrative message from the United States government. Approximately 15 minutes ago, the occupants of the Starship and the United States government have made an agreement to surrender Kahill into the custody of the alien invaders, and in exchange for custody of Mr. Hill, all demonic attacks on the planet Earth are to cease at once. Again, an agreement to surrender custody of Kahill to the alien invaders has been made, and this exchange will take place at Lambeau Field in Green Bay in approximately 5 minutes. The monolith which had resided above Lambeau Field has also disappeared, and Kahill's associates have surrendered themselves into the custody of the United States government. At this time, demonic activity has begun to cease around the globe, and it is estimated that all demonic attacks will cease within the hour. Additionally, the sinkhole which had formed in Americus, Georgia has mysteriously been sealed, and members of the United States Army are currently en route to investigate the area. Finally, while hostilities are set to cease, martial law is to remain in effect until 12:30 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, in order to protect the public, and re-establish governmental control of areas which were affected by these attacks. All citizens are asked to remain indoors, and to not venture anywhere near Lambeau Field, for their safety. If you are caught outside, you will be arrested without counsel. The emergency notification system has been activated. The following message is transmitted at the request of the Atlanta Police Department, the Georgia Department of Health and Human Services, and the Environmental Protection Agency. This is a fire warning for the city of Atlanta. Within the past 15 minutes, a series of severe fires have developed in the city of Atlanta. Fires are now taking place throughout the city, and air quality will be impacted in the city of Atlanta. Thick, black smoke is being generated from these fires, and firefighters who have arrived to extinguish these fires have been reported to have been killed in extreme numbers, as the fires are so hot that their firefighting equipment has been completely and utterly melted when firefighters are within 25 feet of these fires. The flames are estimated to be anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and authorities have reported that these fires are spreading at an exponential rate, and at this time, a fire warning has been issued to inform the public of this developing situation. In addition, due to these fires, the Georgia Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Atlanta Police Department, are ordering a full-scale evacuation of the city at this time. You do not have a choice in this matter, and you must evacuate the city immediately, regardless of how far away from the fires or well protected you believe that you are. These fires have already claimed the lives of over 300 firefighters. Do not become another number in the death toll. Evacuate now. Citizens located elsewhere in DeKalb County are also encouraged to evacuate, but citizens who are not in Atlanta proper are under a voluntary evacuation order, meaning that it is up to you whether or not you evacuate. Again, devastating fires are spreading exponentially in the city of Atlanta, and citizens within the city hearing this message are advised that they must evacuate the city at once. Citizens located elsewhere in DeKalb County who are not in Atlanta proper are also encouraged to evacuate. This is the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines are to be kept open for official use only. The emergency notification system has been activated. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming to bring you this law enforcement emergency message. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Georgia Department of Corrections, the Georgia Highway Patrol, the Office of the Governor of Georgia, and the Milledgeville Police Department. Approximately 17 minutes ago, the Governor's Office and the Georgia State Police received report that a large and extremely violent disturbance was taking place at the Georgia Central State Hospital, located in Milledgeville, Georgia. Around 1 hour ago, the Central State Hospital, which houses some of the most dangerous felons in the state, experienced a break-in by an individual matching the description of the terrorist simply identified as Ameno. Ameno is currently number 5 on the FBI Most Wanted Persons list in connection with the attempted murder of television personality Jerry Hill, his wife Yoko Nanaruji, their son Kahill, and the murder of an unidentified female aged 17 in 2000. The Jones building was broken into by Ameno, and she began to brutally murder the attendants of the hospital and its patients, with almost all of its 11,000 inhabitants being discovered deceased just 25 minutes ago. The Governor's Office and the state police were first informed of this by a survivor, who had fled into the town of Milledgeville screaming about the incident. This individual was later identified as the warden of the institution, and at this time, the Georgia State Police and the Georgia Department of Corrections have reported that all but one prisoner has been accounted for. This individual's identity is known to authorities, but cannot be disclosed to the public at this time for matters of national security. A fire has begun to break out inside of the complex, and at this time, almost all of its 1,700 acres of land are ablaze, and these fires are similar to those reported in Atlanta only 30 minutes ago. These fires were started as authorities were leaving the scene, as they spotted an object which highly resembled that of the Starship which currently occupies the location that the space station Freedom once did, but was only around 1 mile in size. This Starship shot flames from its bottom, and has caused apocalyptic damage to the area at this time. This fire has been contained to the hospital complex, but the flames of this fire are estimated to be anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. All citizens are being asked to remain on the lookout for Ameno, whose description can't be found on the FBI's website, and to evacuate the city at once, as it is unclear how much longer this fire will remain contained. Repeating, all citizens are being asked to remain on the lookout for Ameno, whose description can't be found on the FBI's website, and to evacuate the city at once, as it is unclear how much longer this fire will remain contained. This is the emergency notification system serving the Milledgeville area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should be kept open for official use only. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. This message will repeat in 1 minute.
The National Weather Service in Atlanta has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for the following counties. In central Georgia, Gwinnett County, northern DeKalb County, northeastern Fulton County, southern Forsyth County, and southern Hall County until 5:20 p.m. Central Standard Time. At 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time today, a line of severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from near Roswell to Sandy Springs, moving southeast at 50 miles per hour. Hazards: bowling ball-sized hail and 85-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Source: trained weather spotters. Impact: people and animals who remain outdoors will be injured or possibly killed. Expect extensive hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Outdoor furniture will be blown away and potted plants will be destroyed. Locations that are said to be impacted by the storm include Dunwoody, Liburn, Duluth, Norcross, Lawrenceville, Doraville, Tucker, Stone Mountain, Caleb, and Snellville. Prepare immediately for large hail, damaging winds, and deadly cloud-to-ground lightning. Seek shelter inside of a well-built structure. Remain away from windows. This is an extremely dangerous storm. Prepare immediately for large and destructive hail capable of producing significant damage. People who are currently located outside should move to shelter inside of a strong building, and stay away from windows. Large hail and continuous cloud-to-ground lighting are already occurring with this storm. Move indoors immediately. Lightning is one of nature's deadliest killers. Remember, if you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. Take cover now. The National Weather Service in Atlanta has issued a tornado warning for the following counties in central Georgia. Gwinnett County. Until 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. At 5:20 p.m. Central Standard Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Lilburn, or 9 miles northwest of Snellville, moving east at 50 miles per hour. Hazard. Tornado. Source. Radar indicated rotation. Impact. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. Locations in the path of the storm include Snellville, Grayson, Windsor, Loganville, Between, and Monroe. Take cover now. Move to a basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Remain away from windows. If you are currently outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Repeating, a tornado warning has been issued until 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time this evening for Gwinnett County. Take cover now. The National Weather Service in Atlanta has issued a tornado warning for the following counties. Clark County in northeastern Georgia. Oconee County in northeastern Georgia. Eastern Barrow County in northeastern Georgia. And extreme southeast Jackson County in northeastern Georgia. Until 7:45 p.m. Central Standard Time this evening. At 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, a large and extremely dangerous tornado was located over Statham, Georgia, or 13.5 miles west of Athens, Georgia. Moving east at 25 miles per hour. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Hazards. Damaging tornado. Source. Trained weather spotters. Impact. You are in a life-threatening situation. Flying debris will be deadly to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be destroyed. Severe damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles is likely, and complete destruction is possible. This tornado is expected to impact the Athens area within the next half hour. Other locations which are likely to be impacted by this tornado include Bogart, Hanover, Tallahassee Estates, Fairfield, Chad's Walk, Windy Hill, Riverside, Greenmont, Shoal Creek, Carriage Hills, Shadow Moss, Milledgeville, and Overlook Lake. Repeating, an extremely dangerous tornado is on the ground. Take immediate tornado precautions. This is a tornado emergency. Repeating, a tornado warning has been issued until 7:45 p.m. Central Standard Time for the following counties in northeastern Georgia: Clark, Oconee, Eastern Barrow, and extreme southeastern Jackson.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Department of Homeland Security and the New York City Police Department. This is a civil danger warning for the following counties: Kings County, New York County, Queens County, Richmond County and Bronx County. This civil danger warning will take effect as of 10:52 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, and will remain in effect until further notice. At 10:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning, an individual identified as wanted fugitive MNO, along with the escaped prisoner from Georgia, were spotted entering the Macy's Herald Square department store at 151 West 34th Street in New York City, along with multiple demonic creatures, heavily resembling those who were spotted aboard the Starship, which currently resides where the Freedom Space Station once did. New York City police attempted to subdue MNO and her accomplices, but were met with extreme force. As many as 15 police officers have already been killed by MNO, as she has in her possession a weapon which has the capability to completely and utterly disintegrate anyone who comes in contact with its ammunition. At this time, Macy's Herald Square has remained closed following the attacks which recently took place against the planet, and while MNO has not taken any hostages, she has started a fire inside of the department store, which heavily resembles the fires which ravaged Atlanta, Georgia 3 days ago. At this time, the fire has begun to spread throughout West 34th Street, and due to this, citizens are being asked that, if they have the ability to do so, that they evacuate downtown New York City at once. The United States Army will be deploying specialized units in order to subdue MNO and her accomplices, and the Air Force will be dropping experimental chemicals on the city in an effort to extinguish the fires within the next 30 minutes. MNO has already killed thousands. Do not become another number on the death toll. If you are in downtown New York City, evacuate now if you have the ability to do so. While all the chemicals that the United States Air Force will be using are not toxic to humans, it is still being advised that if possible, you put on a gas mask in order to prevent the inhalation of these experimental chemicals once they are dispersed. Shut off all heating and ventilation systems in order to prevent these chemicals from entering your home. Finally, the ship which previously resided over Milledgeville, Georgia has now begun to move, and it appears that it is on a direct course for Citi Field in Queens, and citizens in Queens are also being ordered to evacuate at once. This evacuation order is involuntary, meaning that you will for no reason be allowed to remain in Queens. If you do so, you face certain death. The military is attempting to subdue this ship, but there is a strong possibility that these efforts will prove futile. Please stay tuned to local television and radio outlets for the latest information on this developing crisis. This is the emergency notification system serving the New York City area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States Space Force, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Central Intelligence Agency, and the White House. This is an administrative message. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. Approximately 1 hour ago, a terrorist known to authorities as MNO started a deadly fire inside of the Macy's Herald Square department store in New York City. The United States Air Force dispersed an experimental chemical agent in an attempt to extinguish the fire, but the New York City Fire Department has reported that the dispersal had no effect on the fire. At this time, all of West 34th Street, along with most of West 30th, West 31st, West 32nd, West 33rd, West 35th, West 36th, West 37th, West 38th, West 39th, West 40th, West 41st, and West 42nd Streets are ablaze at this time, with an extremely violent fire emanating from the New York Public Library at this time. Amidst these fires, MNO was spotted boarding an express train along with her accomplices at the 59th Street Columbus Circle subway station on 60th and Broadway, and after eliminating United States Armed Forces, who attempted to halt their escape, they have now boarded a train, which has departed. This train has been moving, and has passed each station on the rail line, and it appears that MNO is attempting to bide herself time. However, the FBI received a phone call from MNO who has stated that she is directly working with the aliens who currently reside in the Starship, where the Freedom Space Station once did, and that the United States government is directly responsible for her actions. She has claimed that Kahill was never surrendered to the invaders, and that unless Kahill is delivered directly to YNH station within the next 2 hours, the ship, which has now positioned itself above Citi Field, will ignite a fire that will engulf all of New York City. At this time, the United States Space Force also received a similar warning from aboard the Starship, and at this time, the President would like to state that this administration has delivered Kahill to Ameno and her forces, and that they are mistaken. At this time, the evacuation order, which previously only pertained to Queens and downtown New York City, has been expanded to encompass all of Richmond County, all of Kings County, all of Bronx County, and all of New York County. Citizens are now ordered to immediately leave their current locations and begun to evacuate that city. The White House is attempting to negotiate with Ameno in order to allow for a full evacuation without any loss of civilian life, but these attempts are likely futile. Again, the evacuation order, which previously only pertained to Queens and downtown New York City, has now been expanded to encompass all of Richmond County, all of Kings County, all of Bronx County, all of Richmond County, and all of New York County, effective immediately. This is the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. All citizens must evacuate the aforementioned counties immediately. Do not delay. If you do, you face certain death. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 30 seconds. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming. This is an administrative message from the United States government. Please stand by for a message from the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, I come to you this afternoon with tragic news. Around 3 hours ago, Ameno, an agent for the enemy forces, which primarily are residing aboard the Starship that is positioned where the space station Freedom once did, began a series of deadly fires in New York City. She demanded that we hand over Kahill, or that she would set all of New York City on fire, killing all of its residents. I, as president, decided not to cooperate with Ameno, as we already have placed Kahill into their custody as of 3 days ago. Unfortunately, I can now report to the American people that Ameno has followed through on her threat. As of 5 minutes ago, New York City has been completely and utterly destroyed, when Ameno's personal vessel spit flames into the city. At this time, the casualties are believed to be in the millions, and I would like to make a statement here and now to Ameno. You believe that your crimes will continue to go unpunished? You are foolish. As president, I have a sworn oath to the American people to stand up for this country. And that is precisely what I will do. I will spare no expense in making sure that you pay for your crimes. I have already delivered you Kahill, and it seems that you are using Kahill as a martyr, a figure who you will use the likeness of in order to justify the extinction of humanity. I say to you that you will not succeed. I know that you are currently listening to this message aboard the mothership, and I would like to give you one final chance to turn yourself in. You have been evading the federal government for years, and it is time that you finally answer for your crimes. You murdered an innocent, pure-hearted, and caring 17-year-old woman years ago. The only crime that young American was guilty of was being in love with Kahill. And because of that, and your animosity towards the Hill family, you murdered her. You are truly the embodiment of evil. For all the crimes you have committed on American soil, you should be facing execution on sight. You are the worst of humanity, and I will not allow you to evade punishment for your crimes any longer. You wish to play ball, Miss Ameno? Then let's play ball. But you will not win this game. There will be no extra innings and no mercy rule. You will face judgment for your crimes, and you will be punished. 2 days. Ameno, you have 2 days to turn yourself in to authorities, alongside the man you broke out of the Georgia Central State Hospital, or I will not show you or your accomplices mercy. A monster far worse than you could ever hope to be is under my command. A monster who can single-handedly exterminate you and every living being aboard the mothership within a matter of hours. This monster will be unleashed upon you if you do not cooperate. And I assure you, Ameno, my monster, she knows all about you. Think of her as the pinch hitter for the United States military. She will be put into this pointless game you have set in motion, and you will lose. I assure you, if you wish for an easy form of judgment, surrender. Otherwise, my monster will gladly tear you limb from limb, along with your lover. 2 days. This is my only offer. And to the beings who have employed Ameno, the true inhabitants of the Starship, I ask you this. Do you wish to associate with a remorseless killer and squander your chances at cohabitation and redemption, or live alongside us as allies? To any of you who do not wish to fight, do not. I have opened a secure line of communication between the White House and your mothership. If you come forward now, you will be pardoned for any crimes you will be implicated in if you continue to associate with Ameno. Consider this offer seriously. There will not be another. I have reason to believe that your original home, being Wasp 121b, was no longer safe for you to live upon. You simply wish for a chance to begin your civilization again, and that is an admirable thing to wish for. You do not understand human law as of yet, and therefore perhaps your actions fall into the normality that is accepted in your society. But here on Earth, and in America especially, we believe in unity. While we may not always see eye to eye, and while some among us are capable of atrocities, we are not all monsters. We prefer to live in harmony with one another, understanding our differences and relishing in the chance to improve ourselves as a species. I understand, as do many of my fellow world leaders, that you believed us a hostile species. To that, I can say that as we are now, we do not wish for violence. If you wish to join us in living on Earth, you may do so, but do not continue to murder us. Do not continue to cleanse the Earth of all life. That is not of your origin. Pick up the line of communication and join us here on Earth. We are willing to give you dominion over the entire continent of Antarctica without a fight, and believe that this should be more than enough land to give you all a new home. But if it is not, and you need more land, that is what we will accommodate for. But this is only if you cease associating with Ameno, and you cease all hostilities. We give you the same deadline. Please, take the next 2 days to truly consider which path you wish to embark upon. And finally, to the American people in closing, I am sorry that so many of us have been slaughtered in recent days. Do not lose faith, and I beg you to have faith in me and other world leaders. We will do everything in our power to ensure the survival of you and your families. Consider my offer seriously, Ameno. I implore you to obey. God bless the American people, and God bless the United States of America.
The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Department of Defense, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the White House. This is a civil danger warning for the United States. This civil danger warning will take effect at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this afternoon, and will remain in effect until further notice. Please stand by for a message from your local news station.
Good afternoon. This is Jessica Lynn from the TV10 News team. and we have been asked by the federal government to bring you an update on the situation regarding the alien invaders and the wanted terrorist, Armeno. As the deadline set for Armeno to turn herself into authorities quickly approaches, the President has ordered the United States Army to immediately prepare for deployments in all 50 states, and that they will be assisting in relocation operations for refugees from the Starship, who have disavowed their military, and wish for peaceful cohabitation. The remaining inhabitants of the Starship have informed the President that they will not be disassociating with Armeno, and that neither they nor Armeno have any intention to surrender. At this time, the President has made the decision to ready the Army for nationwide deployment in order to protect the general public from the President's weapon against Armeno. The weapon has been described as mentally unstable, and it is believed that any hint of aggression towards the President's weapon will be met with hostility from this being. To protect the public, and to apprehend anyone attempting to take advantage of this crisis for monetary gain, or to commit felonious acts, the United States Army and the National Guard will be deployed in order to maintain law and order and to protect the public from the President's weapon, should she become hostile towards the general public. The best course of action to ensure that you remain safe, is to remain indoors, away from windows or any points where you may be visible from the outdoors, and to remain calm. Again, the best course of action to ensure that you remain safe, is to remain indoors, away from windows or any areas where you may be visible from the outdoors, and to remain calm. During this time of crisis, the President has ordered that the only programming that is to remain on the airwaves, is news programming. The President believes that news coverage not just at a nationwide level, but at a local level will become paramount in these times of crisis. Here at TV10, we will be remaining on the air in order to bring you further emergency notification system messages, as well as news coverage on this developing crisis. I will be back shortly with further information pertaining to the Worcester area, but for now this is Jessica Lynn from the TV10 News team, and we now return you to the emergency notification system.
That was a message from your local news station. In order to maintain law and order, and to protect the public from the President's weapon, the United States Army and National Guard will be deployed nationwide to assist in relocation operations for refugees from the Starship, and to ensure that law and order is maintained throughout the duration of this crisis. The President's weapon is capable of exterminating life in a matter of milliseconds, and if you show any hint of hostility towards her, she will terminate you. Do not become a victim to the President's weapon. Remain in shelter until further notice. Do not exit your current dwelling for any reason, at any time unless directly ordered by authorities. Do not brandish any weaponry or makeshift defensive items if you spot the President's weapon. This will lead to certain death. Please stay tuned for further updates on this developing situation. This is TV10. We will continue to serve the Worcester area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your area. The emergency notification system has been activated.
This is Jessica Lynn from the TV10 newsroom here for you with an administrative message. It is now 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are here with the latest news update regarding the ongoing conflict between Armeno and her allies, and the United States military. Since the expiration of the deadline set by the President, we have received a message from the press secretary, who has stated that true to his word, the President has unleashed the being he earlier had referred to as his monster, and that the Starship has been boarded by not just this monster, but in the surprising turn of events, Ellen Nichols, who was previously wanted for the creation of sinkholes in Americus, Georgia 3 days ago. Ellen turned herself into authorities 3 days ago at the same time as her lover, Kahill, surrendered themselves into the custody of Armeno and her allies aboard the Starship. However, the reason for this conflict is the allegations from Armeno, which were echoed by the alien invaders, that they were given a fake, and that the real Kahill has not been surrendered into their custody. We now have joining us to provide the public with further context Master Chief Petty Officer Orlando Marbles from the United States Navy. Master Marbles, thank you for joining us this evening to provide us with further context.
Happy to be here, Jessica.
Master Marbles, first I would like to ask you if you have any further information you can share with us this evening regarding the inhabitants of the Starship. Does the military know if these beings are truly former inhabitants of Wasp 121b, or if they are not, where are they truly from?
Jessica, we have confirmed that the beings who are in charge of the Starship are from Wasp 121b, and in talks between the President and themselves which took place prior to the expiration of the deadline, some of the refugees stated that their name as a species is demonious, and that they had once visited the Earth several million years ago. Being a part of the relocation operations which are currently underway, I have had the pleasure of assisting some of the refugees, and while they very much look like what we think of when we imagine demons, speaking of the demonites I have spoken to thus far, they are nothing but kind. It seems that their planet became far too hot for them to inhabit any longer, which is why they returned to Earth. Their current leader, who they have referred to as the caretaker, is the one who made the decision to associate with Ameno and to attack the Earth. Many of these demonites never wished for conflict with humans, and that they simply wanted a new place to call home.
It is good to know that they are not all warmongers. Next, I'd like to ask you a question regarding the President's weapon. I've been told that you have served as the handler for this weapon since 2018, is that correct?
Yes. That is correct, Jessica. The President's weapon, when I first met her in 2018, was, as the reports have stated, extremely hostile. This girl, who looks no older than 22 or 23 years old, from what I understand, was partially developed in cooperation with the now dismantled Eden Corporation, in a joint operation with the United States Marines and the Pure Health Corporation, which has also since been dissolved. From the report I was given when I became her handler, she experienced a devastatingly traumatic event around 24 years ago, and until 2013, she was completely comatose. She no longer had any parental guardians when she was first encountered, and she was missing almost all of her limbs. It's a tragic tale, and in order to operate as she does now, Eden and Pure Health Incorporated worked together to develop a mechanical body for her to inhabit, as her internal organs were almost completely shut down. The fact that she even was alive was a miracle in and of itself. Only her brain was able to be salvaged, and her brain was transplanted into a mechanical body in a last-ditch operation by Eden and Pure Health Incorporated in 2015.
Are you saying the President's weapon is not even human?
No. She is as human as you or I. The only inhuman part of her is the makeup of her body. In place of a heart, she has an experimental antimatter reactor in her chest, and this antimatter reactor is what provides a kind of oxygen and blood to her brain. She remembers everything from her past, as much as I know she wishes she did not. She was betrayed by so many people that she believes that there are only two people on this earth she can truly trust. Herself, and the one she calls her destined one. She became comfortable around me after around 4 years, and while I wouldn't say she completely trusts me, she has enough faith in me that she chooses not to murder me in my sleep.
Exactly how dangerous is she? Is she really so dangerous that the military needs to be deployed just in case she goes rogue?
She is. I've seen her run at speeds over 20 times the speed of sound, and her mechanical arms can be used as missiles if she wished to. She can summon antimatter at her command, and just by shouting she could make an entire city go deaf. The amount of violence she is capable of is far more horrific than if Satan himself was unleashed upon the earth. Just to go outside, she has to have foot-mounted thrusters just to ensure that the ground beneath her won't collapse, and as that suggests, she is capable of flight. The only two motivations I have ever seen used in order to get her to go along with military orders, or promises of information on her destined one, or revenge against who took them from her. I presume that either the caretaker or Ameno were responsible for her current way of living, or the killing them will allow her to get one step closer to reuniting with her destined one. I would like to once again tell everyone listening to this broadcast that they need to remain calm and not to go outside. She likely will be enraged after her operation on the Starship. Any contact from persons who she has not been told about will be seen as hostiles, and she will not hesitate to kill you. The only thing I've seen her refuse to do is kill children and pets. Everyone else is, as they say, fair game to her.
Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to Master Marbles. Do not go outside. I would love to speak more, but we need to return to the emergency notification system to bring you an emergency action notification. Please stand by.
This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast stations and cable systems shall transmit this emergency action notification message. This station has interrupted its regular programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency notification system. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air providing news and information to the public in assigned areas. This is TV 10. We will continue to serve the Worcester area. If you are not in this local area, you should tune to stations providing news and information for your local area. You are listening to the emergency notification system serving the Worcester area. Do not use your telephone. Telephone lines should be kept open for emergency use only. Please stand by for a message from the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, I come to you this evening with both good news and bad news. I can now report that my monster has successfully boarded the mothership of the demonious army, and at this time, we have received confirmation that the enemy forces aboard the Starship have been compromised to a permanent end. Ameno managed to evacuate the ship before she could be terminated by my monster, and it is reported that she has landed in an evacuation pod somewhere near Worcester, Massachusetts. It also was reported that before leaving the Starship, she managed to take Ellen Nichols, who wished for redemption, hostage. At this time, to the citizens of Worcester, do not worry. My monster is en route to the city, and as long as you follow our guidelines and remain indoors and remain calm, you will make it through this crisis in one piece. But the bad news is that the demonious army, before they were fully exterminated, have sent their vessel on a course for the Atlantic Ocean. Based on the movements of the ship, it appears that it is not intending to crash land, but to take up a permanent residence in the Atlantic Ocean, and this movement may cause devastating natural disasters if it does not land calmly. If the Starship does impact the planet in a violent nature, it will likely lead to an extinction-level event, as the ship is far larger than the asteroid which killed the dinosaurs. At this time, citizens need to be prepared for the possibility that a global catastrophe may begin to take place within the next 72 hours. The Starship is expected to land in 72 hours, as it is moving at a very slow speed, and this thankfully may ensure that an extinction-level event does not become immediately possible. However, citizens still need to be prepared and aware that should the Starship violently impact, devastating tsunamis, violent earthquakes, and many other natural disasters may begin to take place. For this reason, I am once again going to be implementing a national state of martial law, which will take effect at the conclusion of this broadcast and will remain in effect until further notice. Do not exit your homes during this time of martial law as you face arrest or even death. In closing, the demonious army is no more, and while their threat to humanity has ended, we still remain in a tumultuous time for the human race. As President, I vow to take every step that I can to ensure that our species has a path for continued existence, and I ask you to have faith in me. God bless America.
That was a message from the President of the United States. All citizens are now advised that martial law is in effect until further notice, and that for no reason should they exit their homes. Additionally, citizens near Worcester, Massachusetts need to be aware that the President's monster is currently en route to the city in order to apprehend Ameno. Remain indoors and out of sight, or you face certain death. The emergency notification system has been activated. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States Marines, the Department of Homeland Security, and the White House. This is a law enforcement warning for the city of Worcester, Massachusetts, which will take effect at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening, and will remain in effect until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Within the past 15 minutes, Ellen Nichols emerged from her escape pod holding the severed head of Ameno. However, within moments of the president's monster arriving on site, Kahill emerged, and upon seeing Kahill, the president's monster collapsed to the ground, causing a magnitude 5.8 earthquake to strike the Worcester area. While damage from this earthquake has been minimal, military satellites have captured what seems to be the president's monster embracing Kahill, before engaging Ellen Nichols in combat. At this time, the president's weapon has utilized antimatter, and severe damage to the city has already begun to occur. Kahill is also involved in this battle, and it seems that they are trying to defuse the situation. At this time, it appears that Kahill may be the individual described as the monster's destined one, and that the monster believes that Ellen poses a threat to Kahill. At this time, a specialized unit of the United States Marines is being deployed to subdue the president's monster as well as Ameno's body, but it may be some time until they arrive on site. For this reason, all citizens in Worcester are being advised to immediately seek out the lowest floor in their current dwelling, and to remain there until further notice, as well. The battle currently is still only taking place on the outskirts of the city, primarily near Cherry Valley. This battle may move further into the city at any time. Remain indoors to protect your life. Further information on this developing situation will be transmitted as it becomes available. The emergency notification system has been activated. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States Marines, the Department of Defense, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and the White House. This is a civil danger warning for the state of Massachusetts. This civil danger warning will take effect as of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening, and will remain in effect until further notice. Approximately 10 minutes ago, the battle between Kahill, Ellen Nichols, and the president's monster has taken a drastic turn for the worst. Ellen Nichols was spotted on military imaging wielding a red spear similar to the one she held in Americus, Georgia 4 days ago, and it appears that at this time, Ellen Nichols has also grown a pair of large, crimson wings on her back, and demonic horns on her head. Her skin has also taken a crimson shade, and at this time, Ellen Nichols heavily resembles the demonic creature known as Shiva. The president's monster has also removed her helmet primarily used to protect her identity, and has similarly grown a pair of demonic wings on her back. Her mechanical body has also changed color to a shade of crimson, and a mechanical pair of demonic horns have grown on her forehead, and she now is also wielding a golden trident, and she now heavily resembles the devil himself, Satan. At this time, Kahill has also taken a form that heavily resembles that of Aretlan, and at this time, the three are fighting near the Worcester Art Museum. At this time, fires have begun to form throughout the state, and at this time, the borders of the state are completely ablaze, and it appears that one of these three have sealed the state. Authorities have reported that these flames are burning at a temperature of around 30,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and that while these fires have not expanded, that they seem to be intensifying, and in particular, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology has been swallowed by a large sinkhole. At this time, citizens are being ordered to seek out the lowest floor of their current dwelling, and to remain there until further notice as further developments are likely to occur. Regarding the sinkhole that has now formed at MIT, citizens have reported that they have been hearing deafening, guttural screams emanating from the sinkhole, and it is now theorized that the portal to hell which was opened in Americus 4 days ago has been reopened. Stay tuned to broadcast and media outlets for further information on this developing situation. This is TV10. We will continue to serve the Worcester area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States Space Force, the Department of Energy, the Federal Communications Commission, the Pennsylvania National Guard, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and the National Weather Service. This is a severe weather statement for the following locations: Blair County in Pennsylvania, Bedford County in Pennsylvania, Huntingdon County in Pennsylvania, Fulton County in Pennsylvania, Franklin County in Pennsylvania, Washington County in Maryland, Frederick County in Maryland, Carroll County in Maryland, Allegheny County in Maryland, and Garrett County in Maryland. Within the past hour, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration have observed a series of spatial anomalies occurring across the planet. There have been reports of spatial rifts above the Atlantic Ocean which have been dispersing spears much like those wielded by Kahill and Ellen Nichols, which have been striking the Demonius mothership as it continues its descent towards the Atlantic Ocean. Metallic tornadoes ravaging Texas, with these tornadoes sending deadly shrapnel and metallic spears outward into the communities they impact. Snow squalls throughout the Midwest bringing anywhere from 10 to 24 inches of snow in affected areas. Ice storms in Japan that have been not only creating icy surfaces, but sending deadly, television-sized hail into homes. Violent earthquakes impacting Western Europe. Severe thunderstorms with rainfall rates of 2 to 6 feet per hour in Russia. Deadly heat waves in North and South Korea with temperatures rising to over 170 degrees Fahrenheit, and many more anomalies. At this time, it is believed that these events are being directly influenced by the ongoing battle between Ellen Nichols, the president's weapon, and Kahill. Devastating hurricane-strength windstorms are currently impacting areas of Pennsylvania and Maryland, and at this time, this severe weather statement has been issued in order to advise the public about ongoing severe weather events taking place in their local areas. At this time, hurricane-force winds and deadly cloud-to-ground lightning storms are occurring throughout Franklin, Fulton, Huntingdon, and Bedford counties in Pennsylvania, with devastating metallic tornadoes impacting Blair County in Pennsylvania, along with Garrett, Allegheny, Carroll, Frederick, and Washington counties in Maryland. In addition, spatial rifts much like those above the Atlantic Ocean are sporadically appearing throughout the world, and a large spatial rift is currently in the skies above Blair County in Pennsylvania. At this time, all citizens hearing this message must remain indoors, and to citizens who are hearing this message, and are in the states of Pennsylvania or Maryland, the President has allowed citizens to evacuate to fallout shelters and underground military shelters for further protection during this crisis. The Department of Energy and the FCC have been reporting that power outages have begun to occur throughout Pennsylvania and Maryland, and that citizens should take this chance to seek better shelter, as power is not expected to be restored within the next 48 hours. Around 5 million in Maryland are currently without power, and around 10 million in Pennsylvania are without power. Take this chance to seek military protection. Do not delay. Hesitating may cost you your life. This is the emergency notification system serving the Blair County area. To continue to receive the latest news and emergency information, please take with you a crank or battery-operated radio or television with you to your place of shelter. If you are outside of the warned counties and are hearing this message, take any medical supplies that are vital to your survival, a battery or a crank-operated radio and headphones with you when seeking military protection. This is WJAC-TV. We will be discontinuing programming due to this crisis. Please tune to 640 or 1240 on the AM radio dial, or tune to an OAA weather radio to continue to receive emergency information. This has been a severe weather statement for the following locations: Blair County in Pennsylvania, Bedford County in Pennsylvania, Huntingdon County in Pennsylvania, Fulton County in Pennsylvania, Franklin County in Pennsylvania, Washington County in Maryland, Frederick County in Maryland, Carroll County in Maryland, Allegheny County in Maryland, and Garrett County in Maryland. This is WJAC-TV. We will now be going off the air. Tune to 640 or 1240 on the AM radio dial, or tune to an OAA weather radio to continue to receive emergency information. The emergency notification system has been activated. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Governor's Office and the White House. This is a global emergency. At approximately 9:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening, a large and extremely violent incident took place in the city of Worcester, Massachusetts. The battle, which has been ongoing between the President's monster, Kahill, and Ellen Nichols, took a turn for the worse when the President's monster unintentionally struck Kahill with an antimatter attack. At this time, Kahill is believed to be in critical condition, and following this action, the President's monster ceased hostilities towards Ellen Nichols and took Kahill into the skies above Worcester. Within moments, a massive portal was opened near the Atlantic Ocean, and the demonia's mothership was completely and utterly destroyed. However, the President's monster then opened another portal directly above the city of Worcester, and at this time, demonic creatures have begun to invade the planet. These demons are invading homes and murdering citizens, and the President's monster has begun screaming at a high volume, and at this time, it is believed that broadcasting throughout the state of Massachusetts has become impossible. If you are in the state of Massachusetts, you are in extreme danger. These demonic creatures are going door to door, and are forcefully invading homes, kidnapping citizens, and placing them inside of a large bonfire which has been formed in the center of the city, leaving citizens to burn to death. For those that they do not kidnap, they tear limb from limb, and devour whole. These demons are not from Wasp 121b, and it is believed that a true portal to hell has been opened, and that the President's monster now has some connection to Satan. A pair of flaming horns have now appeared above her head, and she is now actively attacking humanity. If you are in Massachusetts and can hear this message, you are being advised that there is no way to protect yourself. In due time, you will be killed by these demons, and it is being advised that you prepare yourself and your family for the end, and pray to whatever God you worship and beg for mercy in the afterlife. Again, a portal to hell has been opened by the President's weapon, and humanity is now under siege by demons. Ellen Nichols has no longer been spotted on any military imaging systems, and it is believed that she has escaped the scene. Citizens located in states which border Massachusetts should now evacuate further away from the state, as the President is currently developing a plan to neutralize this threat that may involve the use of antimatter weaponry. Again, if you are located in a state which borders Massachusetts, evacuate now. The emergency notification system has been activated. May God have mercy on our souls.
This NOAA weather radio station is temporarily off the air. Please tune to an alternate weather radio broadcast or visit weather.gov for the latest weather information. This NOAA weather radio station is temporarily off the air. Please tune to an alternate weather radio broadcast or visit weather.gov for the latest weather information. This NOAA weather radio station is temporarily off the air. Please tune to an alternate weather radio broadcast or visit weather.gov.
We interrupt for an attack warning. This is a national emergency. We interrupt all broadcasting operations to bring you a special and urgent message. This is a national emergency. A large-scale attack has taken place against the United States. At approximately 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday, the President's monster was seen interacting with the metallic figure who was seen in Green Bay, Wisconsin 4 days ago, and after speaking with the metallic figure for some time, the figure took flight and intentionally detonated, causing a nearly complete blackout of all broadcasting services and power across North America. Similar metallic figures have been spotted in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and South America, and at this time, most broadcasting stations and information outlets have been rendered inoperative. In addition, the president's monster over the past 3 hours has been spotted opening spatial rifts near nuclear stockpiles across the planet, and 1 hour and 15 minutes ago, the president's monster launched approximately 300 nuclear missiles at the continent of South America, which have impacted their targets, and casualties from these nuclear attacks are believed to be around 400 million. In addition, an antimatter explosion of unprecedented strength has taken place near Alaska, and it is believed that Alaska, as well as most of northwestern Canada, has been completely and utterly destroyed. At this time, the president's monster has flown to Tokyo, Japan with the body of Kahill, and at this time, it is believed that the president's monster intends to retreat with Kahill's body and begin to summon demonic forces to invade Asia at any time. Demonic attacks have reportedly ceased in the continental United States at this time, and while the demonic threat has ceased for the time being, most of the country is without power and running water, all internet and cellular services have been rendered inoperative, civil authorities in some areas have been completely and utterly decimated, and if you are able to hear this message, the President at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time has issued the following statement. I am to blame for this crisis, and the blood of millions are on my hands. For this reason, I am immediately resigning from my duties as the President of the United States, and am handing control of the nation to Vice President Justin Powell. As of this broadcast, Justin Powell has officially been sworn in as the 47th President of the United States of America, and President Powell has ordered that the military immediately begin to execute governmental contingency Operation Vulture. At this time, Operation Vulture will begin, and the military will be going door to door and distributing rations to citizens who are still alive. They will also be recovering the bodies of those who have perished in these attacks, and will be disposing of their bodies. All daily operations of the United States will be handled by the United States Armed Forces. Further attacks against this country are expected to occur at any time, and citizens are still being advised to remain indoors. They also are now being advised by President Powell that if anyone in your home has perished, to, if it is safe to do so, wrap the bodies of the deceased in cloth or blankets, and transport their bodies to your mailbox for retrieval by military officials. In addition, citizens are now being asked to prepare to defend themselves should further demonic attacks begin to take place. Throughout the course of the most recent demonic invasion, the United States Armed Forces have discovered that these demons have the following vulnerabilities. While their bodies are covered in a thick, normally impenetrable form of skin, this skin can be rendered soft by illumination from any bright lights such as headlights, flashlights, spotlights, and flares. If you spot a demon, shine a light at them, and they will become both immobilized, and their flesh will be able to penetrate it by conventional weapons. Their hearts are located where the human esophagus is, so aim for the stomach with any attacks. Avoid using wooden weaponry, as at the time of death, their bodies will set on fire, vaporizing both the corpses of the demons, and spreading fire to any wood structures. Avoid terminating demons near wooden structures such as log cabins, barns, or sheds. This is the emergency notification system. If you can hear this message, be advised that the military will now be taking control of day-to-day operations of the United States, and that you should follow any orders given to you by military officials. If you do not encounter military officials within the next 48 hours, your area has likely been deemed a priority target of the president's monster, and you should evacuate if at all possible. Finally, broadcasting operations may become compromised, and if you lose signal from this station, attempt to see if other local stations are on the air. Due to the severity of the electronic attack, the FCC has rescinded their orders regarding broadcasting permissions, and any stations that are able to are asked to now tune to the emergency notification system master frequency, and broadcast as long as you can. If no stations in your area are on the air, and you have not made contact with military officials, treat this as a sign of attack, and immediately prepare to defend your life. This message will be rebroadcast until further information is received. The emergency notification system has been activated. The National Weather Service in Green Bay has issued a blizzard warning, which is in effect from 2:30 a.m. this morning until 1 p.m. tomorrow. Within the past 30 minutes, a large and extremely violent storm system began to develop over the state of Wisconsin. At this time, heavy snow is occurring throughout the state, with some areas already receiving upwards of 6 inches of snow. Accumulations of 6 to 8 feet are expected by the early afternoon, with total accumulations higher than 40 feet expected by tomorrow afternoon. The storm has continued to strengthen, and is now expanding outwards in all directions, and Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, and areas of Canada are already being impacted by snowfall. Snowfall combined with southwesterly winds of 65 to 95 miles per hour, with local gusts near 125 miles per hour, will worsen already dire winter weather conditions. Citizens will be trapped inside of their homes, and when combined with near universal loss of heating, this storm poses a grave risk to life. Visibilities in areas of northeast Wisconsin will be lowered to less than 1,000th of a mile. Temperatures have also dropped significantly, with temperatures of 20 to 40 degrees below zero already being observed. Please be aware that temperatures will likely drop even further in the coming hours, and snow will harden, which will trap citizens indoors. The United States Army believes that the rapid development of this storm is attributed to the president's monster, and that this is another attack on the American people. Citizens should remain in their homes, and should immediately gather whatever you can to remain warm. Gather blankets and bedding. If you have a fireplace in your home, set it alight and remain near it at all times. Do not open your windows, as this will allow cold air to enter your home along with dangerous winds, which will extinguish any fires. Put on winter coats, jackets, snow pants, long-sleeved shirts, and anything that will allow you to remain warm. Wind chills of 50 to 70 degrees below zero have already been observed in areas of northeast Wisconsin, with wind chills of 90 degrees below zero being observed in Appleton. Do not go outdoors. You will experience frostbite, and low temperatures may lead to hypothermia, which can lead to death. In addition, demons have been spotted circling Lambeau Field, and they are being commanded by an unknown female who is also in the skies above the stadium. Demons have been observed going door to door and breaking windows, decimating doors, and abducting citizens, exposing them to the elements causing death. At this time, authorities believe that anywhere from 6,000 to 25,000 demons are currently in the area, and will cause further deaths in this already tumultuous series of events. At this time, citizens need to be prepared for the possibility of death, and are also being advised that they should block out any windows or opening to the outside world with curtains, duct tape, wood, cardboard, or thick paper. The demons have not been approaching homes which they cannot see into, and it seems that they are only targeting homes which they have a direct visual inside of, possibly to assess if there is anyone inside they can exterminate. The National Weather Service also believes that this storm is unnatural in nature, and that they are currently working with the military to devise a plan to forcefully bring an end to this storm. The president is also still preparing a plan to permanently neutralize his monster, but this plan may take some time to execute. Stay tuned to any stations which are currently on the air for the latest news and information about this deadly series of winter storms. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States government and the National Weather Service. This is a hazardous materials warning for the Midwestern United States. At 7:25 a.m. Central Standard Time this morning, the National Weather Service in Green Bay noticed that all snowfall had ceased from the storm system which is present in the Midwestern United States, and that instead heavy rainfall was occurring. At the time, temperatures also rose to 90 to 120 degrees above zero, baffling officials. However, within the past hour, the National Weather Service has observed that the rain which was falling was highly acidic, and there have now been reports that homes have been experiencing heavy damage, with the rain completely dissolving roofs, and that there is at least 2 metallic tornadoes on the ground in the Upper Peninsula. The president's monster was also spotted above Lambeau Field, along with the body of Jerry Hill, who she dropped from the air, and at this time it is believed that Jerry Hill is now deceased, and that she has been ordering the demons to destroy roofs in the area of the storm, and officials at the National Weather Service office in Green Bay have reported that the rain is in fact comprised of acid. The president would like to advise that his plan to neutralize the monster will begin to be carried out at this time, and that antimatter missiles have been launched at Lambeau Field, and that they should impact the stadium within the next 10 minutes. It is unclear if this plan will prove successful, but at this time, citizens who can hear this message should now be advised that acid is falling from the skies, and that citizens are in extreme danger. If you are in the Midwestern United States, it is advised that you get as far underground as you can, and if possible, seek out a natural form of protection such as a deep cave and remain there until further notice. Citizens outside of the storm's path are now being advised that Operation Vulture continues to take place, and that a full-scale evacuation of the country will now begin to take place. Citizens will be relocated off-planet in order to ensure the continuation of the human race. Most of Europe is currently in ruins following a large antimatter strike that the president's monster carried out while en route to Lambeau Field, and that casualties are now believed to be over 1 billion. At this time, if you are within the path of this storm and you cannot seek sufficient shelter, pray. Pray for the success of the president's plan, and pray for mercy. This has been a special message from the emergency notification system. This station will now temporarily be going off the air. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, and the White House. This is an emergency action notification. This station has interrupted its regular programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency notification system. This is not a test. Approximately 5 minutes ago, the antimatter missiles which were fired at the president's monster were set to impact their targets at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, but moments before they were able to detonate, an individual who has now been confirmed to be Kahill appeared, and seemingly took control of these missiles, causing them to become stationary. Within moments, Kahill, through means which are still unexplained, managed to create hundreds of additional antimatter missiles, and at this time, they have begun to proceed to several unknown targets. At this time, confirmed targets of this attack are as follows: Nashville, Tennessee; Houston, Texas; San Antonio, Texas; Washington, D.C., London, England; Toronto, Canada; Mexico City, Mexico; Tokyo, Japan; Osaka, Japan; Sapporo, Japan; Beijing, China; Moscow, Russia; Pyongyang, North Korea; Seoul, South Korea; Sydney, Australia; Auckland, New Zealand, and many more. These cloned antimatter missiles appear to be far larger than the missiles originally fired by the United States government, and due to continued widespread power outages, most cities are unable to sound air raid or tornado sirens, or broadcast this emergency action notification message. At this time, anyone who can hear this message needs to immediately brace for an antimatter attack. Antimatter missiles will completely disintegrate anything within range of their impact point, and for this reason, antimatter attacks pose a grave threat to life and property. Due to the large number of antimatter missiles, it will be impossible to determine and warn each target city in time. Therefore, anyone who can hear this message must treat their current location as a direct target of this attack. It is unclear why Kahill is supporting his father's murderer, but the United States government intends to neutralize anyone who poses a threat to humanity. Finally, the acidic rainstorms have ceased, and all severe weather events have ceased in the Midwest, along with demonic attacks. It appears that the demons are simply remaining stationary and awaiting further orders. For all of these reasons, take cover now. Move to a basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, if you have not done so already. Stay away from windows. If outdoors or in a vehicle, head for shelter inside of a sturdy building or a cave immediately. If no shelter is available, lie flat in a ditch or other earthly depression. Cover your head to protect yourself from flying debris. Take a battery-powered radio or television with you for the duration of this emergency. Remain tuned to local stations for the latest news and information for your area. Do not leave your place of shelter until you are advised that it is safe to do so via the emergency notification system. If you leave your shelter while the attack is still ongoing, you face certain death. This station has interrupted regularly scheduled programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency notification system. Due to previous attacks, most stations remain off of the air at this time. This is Channel 12. We will continue to serve Northeast Wisconsin. If you are not in this local area, tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute.
We interrupt for an attack warning. This is a national emergency.
This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Department of Defense, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and the Department of Homeland Security. At approximately 8:57 a.m. Central Standard Time this morning, defensive radar systems returned to life, along with power across the United States, and in a shocking turn of events, defensive radar systems showed that all of the antimatter missiles that were created by Kahill have completely vanished. Around the same time, government electronics experienced an intrusion, with a live video feed from one of the skycams at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin being displayed, showing what appeared to be a massive, demonic being in the skies above Lambeau Field. This demonic being is distinct from any mythological demon, reptilian, human, or mechanical being on record, and it appeared to be shouting something towards the stadium, before it smashed its fists directly on top of the stadium, with the video feed promptly terminating. Within moments, millions of Americans in the Midwestern United States began to dial 911 operators in their respective areas, reporting what could best be described as a sonic boom, and at this time, what little satellites remained following the attack by the Reptilians 5 days ago showed a horrific scene. A massive hole in the earth, encompassing nearly all of northeastern Wisconsin, and massive cracks in the earth extending from this hole in 4 directions, with one crack extending to Happy Valley in Canada, another extending to Inuvik in Canada, another extending to Mazatlan, Mexico, and the final crack extending to Miami, Florida. This phenomenon has now created what can best be described as crosshairs all over North America. In addition, the demonic creature from video feeds has been spotted slowly walking towards the east, and it appears to be on a direct course for Norfolk, Virginia. At this time, the status of the president's monster, Kahill, and Ellen Nichols are unknown, and it appears that this demonic creature now poses a far greater threat. This creature stands around 300 miles in height, and can be seen by the naked eye as far away as Sri Lanka. Its fist has an estimated width of 30 miles, and at this time, another demonic creature which stands around 85 miles in height, has been spotted in Moscow, Russia, and a third creature around 125 miles in height, has been noticed picking humans up from the ground, and devouring them whole in New Zealand. In addition, all attempts to establish any form of visual or auditory contact with anyone in the state of Nebraska has been impossible since power and satellite signals were restored, and all that can be seen is what appears to be a blanket of stunning darkness which seems to be emanating from the city of Alma, Nebraska. Imaging shows nothing but pitch black darkness, and all attempts to establish contact with residents inside of the state is proven impossible. The only thing that can be seen is brief, minuscule flashes of brilliantly blue light, which rise into the skies like a skyscraper, and last for approximately 10 seconds. The light has been emanating from Alma, Nebraska, and it is believed that there may be another creature which is causing both the blanket of darkness and the blue flashes of light. But at this time, the United States government would like to advise anyone hearing this message that they need to immediately get as far underground as they can. Seek out mining areas, vast caves, or subterranean subway stations, and remain there until further notice. The 3 demonic beings have been exterminating human lives in extreme numbers, and at this time, there is no known means to neutralize these beings. Before these beings appeared, approximately 2 starships were able to be launched from Cape Canaveral, each housing approximately 5,000 humans and 250 demonious refugees. These starships have since left the Earth's orbit and are safely en route to locations elsewhere in the Milky Way galaxy. At this time, anyone who can hear this message needs to take immediate actions to seek underground protection. Demons have also since resumed activities, and they appear to be drawn towards the cracks in the earth, and have been exterminating citizens within 5 miles in either direction of the 4 cracks. Further information will be transmitted as it becomes available. This is the emergency notification system. All broadcast stations are now being advised that they are to evacuate their broadcasting sites at once, as demons have been drawn to broadcasting stations and have been slaughtering broadcasters. All programming will now be transmitted from a secure location and will consist of the emergency notification system. May God save us all. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Alma Police Department. This is a law enforcement warning for all of Alma. Well, over the past 2 hours, police and emergency services across the state have been experiencing a phenomenon like anything seen before. All cellular and landline telephone systems are fully functional once again, but connections can only be made to phones within state lines. Governor Gempillin has attempted multiple times to establish contact with the federal government, but all attempts have failed up to this broadcast. Additionally, the skies above the state have been darkened, and while lighting appears as if it were nighttime, neither the sun nor the moon can't be seen at this time. Additionally, no stars, clouds, or other natural atmospheric occurrences can't be observed, and it is as if the state has been covered in a dome of pure darkness. Attempts to exit the state have failed, with vehicles crashing when attempting to drive on roadways which lead out of the state, with the Nebraska State Highway Patrol reporting that some vehicles which have crashed while attempting to evacuate the state were observed as being totaled, with one officer stating that a wrecked vehicle looked as if it had been hit head-on by a locomotive. At this time, the Alma Police Department would like to advise citizens that no demons have been spotted in the city, and that based on current reports, no demonic activity is ongoing in the state at this time, but that citizens have been dialing 911 reporting that a strange figure has been spotted inside of the homes of Alma residents, and that citizens have been hearing whispers inside of their homes, which they do not recognize. At this time, a supernatural phenomenon appears to be occurring within the city, and all citizens are to remain indoors and to stay off of the roads. If you spot any mysterious individuals inside of your home, please dial 911 and report your location immediately. This message has been transmitted by the Nebraska Emergency Operations Center. Stay tuned to the station to receive further information regarding emergencies within the state of Nebraska. The emergency notification system for the state of Nebraska has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Alma Police Department and the Governor's Office. This is an update on the mysterious figure, which has been spotted in homes throughout the city of Alma. Within the past 15 minutes, Mayor Hal Heeker was conducting a phone call with Governor Gempillin, when the mayor went silent for around 25 seconds, before beginning to speak with the tone of a woman to the governor, asking the governor if they knew what was going on. Governor Pillin was left speechless, and before he could respond to the mayor, the phone line went dead. The governor then requested an immediate welfare check on Mayor Heeker, and when authorities arrived at the mayor's home around 5 minutes later, Mayor Hal Heeker was found laying unconscious, held in the arms of a ghostly figure. Police ordered the figure to immediately release the mayor from their hands, and within moments, the figure obeyed, and Mayor Heeker stood up and commanded police to stand her down. One of the officers who was sent to conduct the welfare check disobeyed the order of the mayor, and began to open fire upon the figure, but their bullets simply passed through this being, as if it was composed of air. This figure then suddenly disappeared, and has not been seen since. The Alma Police Department is now seeking the assistance of the public in locating this mysterious figure, as they are wanted in connection to a possible attempt on Mayor Hal Heeker's life. This figure stands 5 feet and 4 inches tall, has what appears to be a black bridal veil covering the entirety of their face, and appeared to be wearing a black dress which covered their entire torso. The gender, eye color, hair color or shoe type of this figure remain unknown, as this individual appeared to be floating around 5 inches above the ground when they were spotted by the Alma Police Department, and they did not appear to be armed. However, the public should treat this being as extremely dangerous. If you spot this being, dial 911 at once, and report your location, and where you are located. This being appears to be friendly, unless confronted in a violent manner, so if you are able to, have one member of your household leave whatever room the being is located in, and dial 911, while you remain calm, and attempt to converse with this being, until authorities can arrive. As Mayor Heeker stated to authorities, quote, "They just wanted to talk." Mayor Heeker is currently en route to a medical facility for evaluation, but at this time, the Alma Police Department has issued a mandatory shelter-in-place warning for the entire city, and the shelter-in-place warning will remain in effect until further notice. The emergency notification system of Nebraska has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Alma Police Department and the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations. This is a civil danger warning for the city of Alma, which will remain in effect until further notice. Approximately 55 minutes ago, the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations received a tip from a citizen residing near Guys and Gals Hair Care, located at 518 Division Street, reporting that they had observed the being wanted in connection with an attempt on Mayor Hal Heeker's life earlier today, and that they were carrying the body of an unidentified male into a home on Division Street. They also had reported that upon the wanted individual entering the home, that the front door began to have an overflow of blue light emanating from its hinges, and that it looked in their words as, quote, "a portal to another world." At that time, members of the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations, along with the Alma SWAT team, were dispatched to the scene, and around 15 minutes ago, they arrived on the scene, and attempted to breach the residence. After multiple attempts, the Alma SWAT team were successful in breaching the residence, and were able to enter the home. What they discovered left even the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations speechless. Inside of the residence, they observed a glass casket, which was hooked up to countless electronic mechanisms residing in the living room of the residence. Strangely, the casket was completely empty, but was almost entirely filled with what appeared to be blood. At this time, the Alma SWAT team emerged from the residence, with countless officers vomiting on the lawn almost instantly. After exiting the residence, and sensing something was seriously wrong, special units of the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations entered the residence, and after observing the bloodied casket, they proceeded to the kitchen, at which time, they encountered what they have labeled an icon of light. And after briefly speaking with this being, proceeded to the master bedroom of the home. They then observed the individual who was wanted in connection to a possible attempt on Mayor Heeker's life, placing an unknown Rutland male into another casket, similar to the one which was seen in the living room of the home, and within moments, this casket began to tear the Rutland male limb from limb as this male screamed in agony, before replacing their limbs with robotic ones, that while resembling human arms and legs to some degree, are far more militaristic in usage. They seem to have fingers and toes which can extend and retract at will, as well as arms which can entirely dislodge from the body, and remain in control of this male Rutland. This Rutland's skull was then encased in a metallic cast, which sported a logo for an unknown branch of the United States Marines. Before authorities could attempt to make physical contact with this male Rutland, the ghostly figure turned towards authorities, and lowered the veil which had previously covered its face, revealing the face of a humanoid girl, which resembles that of a young Yochanan Aruji, the mother of wanted fugitive Kahill, the son of newscaster Jerry Hill. The girl was then asked by authorities to speak her name to them, and to surrender herself into custody, and at that time, the Rutland male rose from the casket, and weakly grabbed the shoulder of the woman, and much like Mayor Hal Heeker, had their body hijacked by the ghostly woman, who vanished into thin air upon bodily contact. This individual then began to speak to authorities in a tone, which was identical to the female voice that Governor Pillen had heard earlier in the day. They demanded that someone tell them where they were, and what year it was, before leaving the body of the Rutland male, and appearing once again in front of authorities, but in a weakened state, with the veil once again covering its face. The Rutland male then appeared to become enraged, and began to slaughter authorities. Residents reported to dispatchers that a massive beam of blue light was launched into the skies, and once the members of the Alma SWAT team rushed back inside of the residence, the Rutland male had already slaughtered an entire squadron of the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations, and a large hole in the ceiling of the residence was observed in the master bedroom. The Rutland male then shouted at authorities to leave the scene, and to leave them alone, as the ghostly figure could be seen comforting the Rutland male. Body cameras of these members of the SWAT team were observed to have captured a distinct scar on the face of the Rutland male, and authorities are looking into the matter, as this may assist them in identifying this individual. But due to this rapidly evolving situation, an evacuation order for anyone within 5 city blocks of Division Street has been ordered, and citizens are to remain indoors until further notice. As this Rutland male is believed to pose an extreme threat to civilian life and property, members of the Nebraska National Guard are now en route to the city, and will be arriving shortly, to assist in this deadly situation. Further information will be broadcast as it becomes available. The emergency notification system of Nebraska has been activated. The following message has been issued at the request of the Office of the Governor, the Omaha Police Department, and the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations. This is a civil danger warning for the following counties in Nebraska. In northwestern Nebraska, Garden County, including the city of Oshkosh and the village of Louisville. Sheridan County, including the cities of Gordon and Rushville, and the villages of Clinton and Hay Springs. In northern Nebraska, Holt County, including the cities of Atkinson and O'Neill, and the villages of Chambers, Emmett, Ewing, Inman, Page, and Stewart. In central Nebraska, Custer County, including the cities of Broken Bow and Sargent, and the villages of Anselmo, Ansley, Arnold, Berwyn, Callaway, Comstock, Mason City, Myrna, and Oconto. And in eastern Nebraska, Douglas County, including the cities of Omaha, Bennington, Ralston, and Valley, and the villages of Boystown and Waterloo. This civil danger warning will remain in effect until further notice. An immediate evacuation order will also now be placed into effect in the aforementioned counties. Within the past 20 minutes, the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations along with police departments across the state have reported that violent outbursts of light have been impacting cities in Garden, Sheridan, Holt, Custer and Douglas counties, and that large, inhuman beings have been appearing following these violent outbursts of light, which authorities have reported all have a yellow hue to them. At this time, inhuman beings which stand anywhere from 25 to 90 feet tall have been roaming the streets in the aforementioned counties, toppling buildings as if they were Legos, squashing homes like paper balls, and devouring citizens whole. These beings appear to be comprised of bone, have no eyes, nose, or ears, and are extremely hostile towards humans. Furthermore, small holes in the blanket of darkness have also begun to appear in Douglas and Custer counties, with massive human-looking hands being spotted in the skies, seemingly attempting to rip apart the blanket of darkness to no avail. It appears as if the state of Nebraska is currently under attack. Governor Jim Pillen has made the decision to immediately mobilize the Nebraska National Guard to Garden, Sheridan, Holt, Custer, and Douglas counties, and that once National Guardsmen arrive, they are to initiate defensive measures against these creatures, which may involve the use of ballistic weaponry, such as large spear guns, ballistic missiles, and traditional explosives. Citizens are now being advised that, if they are in the aforementioned counties of Garden, Sheridan, Holt, Custer or Douglas, that they are to immediately exit their homes and evacuate these counties, as there are currently as many as 200 giant inhuman creatures roaming the streets of said counties, and murdering citizens who remain indoors. Do not delay. If you delay, you face certain death. Further information will be transmitted as it becomes available. This is Channel 7. We will continue to serve the Omaha area. If you are not in the Omaha area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Alma Police Department. This is a local area emergency for all areas within a 10-block radius of Division Street. Within the past 10 minutes, authorities on the scene of a violent altercation between authorities and an unknown Rutland male escalated significantly. Much like the situations taking place in Omaha, Oshkosh, and other cities across the state, 8 massive creatures appeared in the city, and within moments of landing in the city, they began to sprint directly towards the residence that has been occupied by an icon of light and Rutland male who was previously unidentified. However, just 2 minutes before the creatures landed in the city, a revelation was made by the Nebraska Bureau of Investigations. After investigating the scar which was observed on the suspect's face, they have since identified this previously unknown Rutland male. The identity of the Rutland male is Kahill, the son of disgraced newscaster Jerry Hill. In addition, it is believed that the ghostly woman who has been spotted with K is his biological sister, Katoma Hill. Katoma was previously believed to be a victim of a cold case murder in 2000, but authorities have reason to believe that the ghostly woman is in fact Katoma Hill. Within moments of the massive creatures arriving at the residence, a large, violent outburst of lightning was observed, with 2 of the 8 creatures being completely and utterly incinerated by these bursts of lightning, and following these lightning bursts, authorities reported seeing what they described as a massive serpent descend from the skies, decapitating another of the creatures within moments. A large explosion was then observed from the residence the Hills had been residing in, which sent authorities flying, and caused the remaining 5 creatures to fall to their knees from the intensity of the shockwave. When the smoke cleared, Kahill was seen holding a red spear, and standing next to him was his sister Katoma wielding what appeared to be a massive harpoon gun, an unknown man of Asian descent wearing white robes wielding the crimson katana, and most alarmingly, the president's monster, who was holding another red spear. Within moments, these 4 began to engage the creatures, and at this time, almost all of the creatures in the state are reportedly on a direct course for the city of Alma, and an additional 30 creatures have appeared in the city within the last 5 minutes. At this time, it appears that these creatures intend to exterminate Kahill and his associates. The governor has since briefly established contact with the United States Army, who have reported that even larger creatures are currently ravaging the nation, and that they will be unable to send any assistance. They also reported that a massive creature that stands over 300 miles in height has since been attempting to rip a hole in the blanket of darkness encompassing the state to no avail. Contact was lost before any further information can be discerned by the governor, and at this time, it appears that the state of Nebraska, and specifically the city of Alma, is in extreme danger, and will almost certainly be the battlefield for a large-scale conflict between these creatures and humanity. At this time, the bodies of the creatures that are being slain by Kahill and his associates have been causing massive damage to property, as the creatures have been falling after being killed on top of homes, killing the residents of the homes, and at this time, all citizens within a 10-block radius of Division Street are to evacuate immediately. At this time, the massive creatures have been ignoring citizens, and appear to be solely focused on killing Kahill, and therefore members of the Nebraska National Guard who are already in the city will be attempting to help citizens within 10 blocks of Division Street evacuate the city. Once an evacuation of this 10-block zone is completed, authorities will then begin to assist residents in other parts of the city in evacuation. Again, all citizens within a 10-block radius of Division Street are to evacuate immediately. Members of the Nebraska National Guard who are already in the city will be attempting to help citizens within 10 blocks of Division Street evacuate the city. Further information on this deadly situation will be transmitted as they become available. The emergency notification system of Nebraska has been activated. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is an administrative message, transmitted at the request of the Governor's Office and the Department of the Interior. Approximately 10 minutes ago, residents on the eastern coast of the United States reported seeing a large and extremely violent burst of light. Shortly after, another violent burst of light was detected in Washington, D.C. At this time, the Department of the Interior has confirmed that an explosion of unfathomable intensity occurred in the nation's capital, and that even more violent explosions have taken place in Europe, Africa, Australia, and Asia, with early imaging showing almost all of Europe, Northern Africa, and Asia completely destroyed, and at this time, Europe, Northern Africa, and Asia are now believed to be devoid of life. Since these explosions, similar beings to the 300-mile tall giant which is currently attempting to enter the state have been seen in each of the aforementioned areas, and they seem to be remaining still and docile, and are seemingly waiting for something. However, early reports state that a high-grade antimatter bomb was used in the nation's capital, and it is believed that most of the executive branch of the United States government has been rendered inoperative due to this attack. They do not know who is responsible for this attack, but as of this broadcast, the Deputy Secretary of the Department of the Interior has been sworn in as the 49th President of the United States. In regards to the battle ongoing in the city of Alma, Nebraska, reports have recently stated that most of the creatures that had been summoned to the city have been terminated by Kahill, and that no further creatures have appeared within the past 30 minutes. However, Kahill and his associates seem to be preparing for the 300-mile monster to enter the state and engage in combat with him. At this time, all citizens should be aware that most of the human race has been exterminated, and that it appears that the city of Alma will be the location of the battle to determine the fate of humanity. Stay tuned to this station for further updates as they become available. The emergency notification system has been activated. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming. This is a statewide emergency. The following message has been transmitted at the request of Governor Jim Pillen, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Homeland Security. This is an attack warning. Attack warning means that an actual attack is taking place, and that protective actions must be taken to ensure the preservation of life and property. Approximately 10 minutes ago, the 300-mile monster, which has now been identified by Kahill as a fallen angel, has managed to break through the shield of darkness that was isolating the state of Nebraska, and at this time, Kahill and his associates are battling this creature, and will attempt to neutralize it to a permanent end. Throughout the continental United States, further fallen angels have been appearing within the past hour, and while these creatures are significantly smaller, with the largest standing only 1 mile in height, they are still roaming the streets, killing civilians, and accelerating the demise of humanity. Due to the extreme danger that faces the human race, and in the interest of humanity, the federal government and Kahill have made a mutual agreement to nullify any hostilities towards each other, and Kahill along with his sister Katilma, the president's monster, and his other associates will be given full power to do whatever they deem necessary to ensure the survival of the human race. Since this agreement was made official 25 minutes ago, around 25,000 beings of light have appeared throughout the state of Nebraska, and they have begun leading citizens to previously abandoned residences, which have now begun to resemble the House of Blue Lights that earlier was destroyed in Alma. Kahill has informed the United States government that these beings are escorting civilians to these houses of blue lights, which have a direct spatial uplink with the arcs which were launched into space some time ago, and that they should be able to evacuate around 400,000 civilians before what he has referred to as the final judgment arrives. Kahill has described the final judgment as the devil himself, and that once he arrives, that unless they can neutralize it in a swift and speedy manner, that all remaining life forms on the earth will meet their end within 4 hours of the final judgment. All citizens who can hear this message in the state of Nebraska are being advised to cooperate with these beings of light should they encounter one, and that citizens should for no reason attack these beings of light. Furthermore, widespread rioting has been reported in Omaha and Oshkosh, and citizens are being told to return to their homes immediately and cease all criminal activities. Further information will be transmitted as it becomes available. This is the emergency notification system. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should be kept open for official use only. The emergency notification system has been activated. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming. This is a tsunami warning for the west coast of the United States. A tsunami warning is in effect until further notice. A tsunami warning means that all coastal residents in the warning area are near a beach or in a low-lying area should move immediately to higher ground, away from all harbors or inlets, including those sheltered directly from the sea. If you are feeling the earth shake, are seeing unusual waves, or rise or recession of water levels, you may only have a few minutes before the tsunami arrives, and if you experience any of the aforementioned phenomena, you should evacuate the area immediately. Homes, small buildings, and even skyscrapers are not designed to withstand a tsunami impact of this severity. Do not stay in these structures. All residents who are in the warned area should be prepared to receive instructions for their local area by the emergency notification system. This tsunami warning is based on visual contact with the tsunami. This tsunami has been confirmed. At approximately 12:35 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, an earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 9.5 was detected near Hawaii, and when the National Weather Service attempted to observe environmental conditions on satellite, they discovered something unimaginable. A massive sinkhole had formed directly underneath Hawaii, that was over 8,000 square miles in size, and that instead of a tsunami wave comprised of water, something far more deadly was observed. A tsunami that shockingly appears to be comprised of blood has been formed around the sinkhole in all directions, and it at the time resembled a large tornado of blood and was remaining still. However, at approximately 12:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, a massive beam of blue light was spotted emanating from the skies, directly into the epicenter of this sinkhole. Within moments, the waves of blood began to rapidly move, and it is currently moving at a speed of around 1,200 miles per hour, and is expected to impact California at around 2:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today. Tsunamis are dangerous waves that are not surfable. If you are impacted by a tsunami's wave, you will perish. Tsunamis often appear as a strong surge, and may be preceded by a recession of water levels. Wave heights will increase radically as water shallows. Tsunamis are a series of ocean waves which can remain dangerous for several hours after initially making impact. Do not return to evacuated areas until an all-clear is given by civil authorities. Additional messages will be issued every half hour, or sooner if conditions warrant. This tsunami warning will remain in effect until further notice. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should be kept open for official use only. This message will repeat in 30 seconds. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming. This is a civil danger warning for the continental United States. At approximately 3:50 p.m. Central Standard Time, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration successfully established a visual on the western coast of the United States, which had been impacted by a tsunami of blood not long before, and the images they captured have confirmed the words of Kahill, a massive being that stands around as tall as the Sears Tower in Chicago, matching biblical descriptions of Satan, has appeared near Las Vegas, Nevada, and is now on a direct course for the city of Alma, Nebraska. Satellite imagery has now also revealed that inside of the sinkhole that has been formed where Hawaii once was, that a large buildup of lava has developed, and the sinkhole now resembles a lake of fire. Reports also now state that Kahill has been joined by several icons of light that stand anywhere from 8 to 15 feet tall, along with his mother, Yakan and Aruji, and they appear to be preparing to engage the devil upon his arrival in Alma. All of the remaining fallen angels have now begun to journey to the lake of fire, as well as any remaining demonic presence, and they appear to be awaiting the arrival of another being, possibly more dangerous than the devil. At this time, all citizens who can hear this message should be aware that the tsunami of blood continues to ravage the west coast of the United States, and that mass devastation and casualties are expected. Citizens should also remain in their homes, and are being asked to pray for the successful neutralization of the devil by Kahill and his associates. Further updates will be transmitted as they become available. This is the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. This is Channel 12. We will continue to serve the Alma area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should be kept open for official use only. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States Army. This is an emergency action termination. At approximately 5:15 p.m. Central Standard Time, the devil arrived in Alma, Nebraska, and was about to begin attacking Kahill and his associates. But suddenly, without warning, Ellen Nichols emerged from the lake of fire in Hawaii, and began to fly at the speed of light towards Alma, Nebraska, and before the devil could even execute a single strike upon Kahill, Ellen flew directly through the devil's chest, emerging holding a small flaming organ, which it appears was the devil's heart, and the devil was observed letting out a guttural scream, before falling backwards onto the ground, and was soon after confirmed to be deceased by Kahill. Again, the devil has been killed by Ellen Nichols, and the threat from the devil has now ceased. However, areas along the west coast remain flooded with blood from the tsunami of blood earlier today, and citizens on the west coast are not permitted to return to their homes as of yet. Finally, the fallen angels and demons who were surrounding the lake of fire have retreated into the lake, and are no longer present. The threat to humanity appears to have subsided, and all citizens hearing this message may now leave their places of shelter, but should be aware that their neighborhoods, following the events of the past week, may be unrecognizable, and that large-scale reconstruction may be necessary to return life to normal. All broadcast stations may now return to regularly scheduled broadcasting operations. This concludes operations under the emergency notification system. The United States government thanks you for your cooperation during this emergency. The emergency notification system has been activated. We now return you to regularly scheduled programming.
The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the United States Air Force, and the United States Marines. This is an administrative message. Over the past 14 hours, the United States Air Force and the United States Marines have been conducting aerial observations in order to determine the severity of damage that has been caused by the events orchestrated by Satan over the past 6 days. At this time, the following observations have been made. Most of the western coast of North America has been rendered uninhabitable due to the tsunami of blood which occurred yesterday, as almost all of California, Oregon and Washington remain flooded with blood, with marine observations reporting that almost no citizens who had not already evacuated were able to leave these states before impact. The sea level has also risen by around 225 feet, which has left what was not flooded with blood engulfed in seawater, making roads non-existent. Air Force Recon aircraft have also reported that most of Europe, Africa, and Asia have been completely destroyed, with the surface of said continents now resembling a hellish, burning wasteland. Contact has been made with civilians in remote portions of Russia, and contact has also been made with the South Korean government, who have reported that somehow, most of the Korean peninsula remains untouched and inhabitable, with only around 1 million fatalities believed to have impacted the northern and southern Koreans. Australia appears to be largely unaffected by attacks launched against them in the past few days, with the Australian government reporting that they were able to evacuate a fifth of their population to deep underground shelters before antimatter attacks ravaged the Australian mainland, and the Australian government has also begun to move the around 5 million Australians who were able to reach said shelters to underground colonies that the Australian government claims to have constructed beneath the Australian deserts. At this time, citizens are being asked to remain where they are as the United States Air Force and the United States Marines continue to evaluate the damage that has been done to the Earth and determine the optimal path forwards towards reconstruction and reclamation of our nation. FEMA would also like to notify citizens located in the Midwestern and Central United States that FEMA has begun mobilizing with the assistance of the Air Force to begin delivering aid to citizens throughout these areas, and citizens on the East Coast and Southern United States should also be aware that sea levels have also been rising in the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean, and flooding is already occurring throughout areas along the coasts of Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and eastern Florida, and due to this, citizens should evacuate further inland if they can at once. Finally, citizens in western Florida, extreme southern Alabama, extreme southeastern Mississippi, southern Louisiana, and southwestern Texas should be aware that minor flooding has begun to occur, and that citizens should seriously consider the merits of remaining in their homes, and should seriously consider evacuating further inland. Finally, following the neutralization of the Devil, the United States government has lost visual on Kahill, L.A. Nichols, and their associates, and the Department of Homeland Security has significant reason to believe that they are no longer within the United States. Further information will be transmitted as it becomes available. This is the emergency notification system. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should be kept open for official use only. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat.
The National Weather Service in Shreveport, Louisiana has issued a flood warning for the state of Louisiana, which will remain in effect until further notice. Over the past 2 hours, water levels in the Gulf of Mexico have continued to rise, with last estimates reporting that water levels have been rising at a rate of 45 feet per hour for the past 2 hours, and the current water level is around 90 feet above sea level, and a significant portion of Louisiana is now underwater. Reports from storm spotters and civil authorities as far inland as Spiker have begun to report widespread flooding, and the National Weather Service believes that this unfathomable rise in water levels will continue to worsen, and furthermore, it is believed that almost all of Louisiana will be flooded within the next 2 hours. Due to this unprecedented rise in water levels, a flood warning has been issued for the entire state of Louisiana, effective until further notice, and an evacuation order for anyone within the state who can hear this message and is not already underwater is also being placed into effect by order of the governor as of this broadcast. Do not attempt to pack things to take with you such as keepsakes or trinkets. Doing so will only lead you to a watery grave. Only take with you necessities such as medications, non-perishable food, bottled water, a flashlight, a battery or crank-operated radio, and warm clothing. Do not delay. You must evacuate now. It is believed that water levels will continue to rise, and similar outbreaks of flooding have already been reported on the western and eastern coasts of the United States, and the president has now begun to consider the possibility that these events may be unnatural in nature. Further information will be transmitted as it becomes available. Once again, a flood warning is now in effect for the state of Louisiana, as the state is expected to be engulfed in water within the next 2 hours, and an evacuation order has also been issued for anyone in the state who can hear this message and is not already being impacted by flooding. Do not delay. Evacuate now. This is the emergency notification system serving the Bastrop area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. The following message has been issued at the request of the Shreveport Police Department, the United States Marines, and the United States Navy. This is a law enforcement warning for the following locations. In northwestern Louisiana, Caddo Parish, including the city of Shreveport, and the towns of Blatchard, Greenwood, Mooringsport, Oil City, and Vivian and Bossier Parish, including Bossier City, and the towns of Benton, Houghton, Plain Dealing. This law enforcement warning will take effect as of 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time today, and will remain in effect until further notice. At approximately 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time today, the United States Marines arrived in the city of Shreveport, Louisiana, in order to assist in evacuation operations, but upon arriving in the city, found that most of Shreveport was already partially underwater. They then promptly began to evacuate citizens onto specially designed aquatic vehicles, in order to help evacuate citizens who were unable to make it outside of the city in time, as sea levels rose at a far quicker rate than projected. Marines also arrived in Bossier Parish around 15 minutes later, and proceeded to conduct evacuation operations as well. However, at 10:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time, a disturbing report was received by members of the United States Coast Guard who were patrolling what was left of Alexandria, Louisiana, or approximately 113.54 miles southeast of Shreveport. Multiple signal flares were spotted emanating from the Rapids Parish Coliseum, located on Coliseum Boulevard in the city, and a group of 5 Coast Guard patrol boats rushed to the arena, which at that time had almost been entirely engulfed in floodwaters from the Gulf of Mexico. Upon arriving on site, they were met with an armed group of citizens who were armed with hunting rifles and pistols, with one citizen even shooting at the water near one of the Coast Guard ships in shock. After a brief standoff between the Coast Guard and these citizens, the United States Coast Guardsmen who had responded to the arena were met with an unfathomable threat. Without any warning, one of the Coast Guard vessels which was present was attacked by a massive creature from underwater, with this creature managing to nearly devour the entire vessel. At that time, the civilians on the roof of the arena began to open fire upon the creature, with unarmed civilians assisting the Coast Guardsmen on board the then under siege vessel onto the roof for safekeeping, and after a few minutes, the creature was able to be killed, after one of the other Coast Guard vessels decided to ram the creature at a speed of around 45 knots. Upon the creature's death, the remaining members of the Coast Guard contacted the United States Marine Corps, as well as the United States Navy, and reported the situation. This report disclosed that not only was this creature unlike any aquatic creatures on record, but that it had many similarities in appearance to the demonic creatures, which had been attacking humanity over the past 6 days. Not long after, similar reports were received by the United States Navy and the United States Marines emanating from New Orleans, Orlando, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, and many other cities which were engulfed by rising sea levels. At this time, it has become clear to the United States military that something far worse than a rise in sea levels is taking place. At this time, reports of aquatic creatures devouring citizens in Wilmington, Delaware, Savannah, Georgia, Miami, Florida, Richmond, Virginia, and countless other cities across the East Coast have been received. The United States military, after a brief analysis of the creatures which have been attacking citizens, the following conclusion has been made. The attack against the human race has not only been left unresolved, but has intensified significantly. Authorities were recently able to reach the location at which it was believed the devil's corpse laid in Alma, Nebraska, but were left shot when the devil's body was indeed at the scene, but appeared charred to a crisp, and in the devil's left hand was a cassette tape which has been since taken to a secure location for analysis, and further information will be disclosed as it becomes available, per order of the President. What has been discerned, however, is that the individual who was believed to have killed the devil, Ellen Nichols, was in fact not involved in the termination of the devil, and the act was instead carried out by a Retlan extremist, identifying herself as Amenu, who left a note in blood on the cassette simply saying, quote, "Drown in the deep." All citizens in Caddo Parish and Bossier Parish should be aware that airborne reconnaissance shows that a massive aquatic monster is currently en route for the cities of Shreveport and Bossier City, and that these creatures are expected to arrive in those locations within the next 20 to 30 minutes. Citizens must now seek shelter as far above the water as they can, and are being asked to arm themselves, if at all possible. Further updates and instructions will be transmitted as soon as they become available. The emergency notification system has been activated.
Good afternoon, Louisville. This is Casey Williams, and you're listening to the 89.3 FM WFPL. The time is currently 12 p.m., and outside the temperature is a cool 65 degrees with a light drizzle. Here at noon, we're going to bring you the latest news stories from both the Louisville area as well as from around the nation. Focusing first on news from around the area. Authorities continue to conduct cleanup operations throughout the city after the chaos of the past 6 days. Louisville, thankfully, was able to be spared from most of the chaos of the demonious and Retlan forces, but some of our neighbors were not so lucky, with massive damage being reported as close as Elizabethtown and Fort Knox, which were both battered by demonic attacks over the past 6 days, with Fort Knox suffering severe damage. And our area is not alone in experiencing chaos, as in national news, flooding continues to affect our neighbors to the south, with authorities in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, and southern Tennessee reporting that sudden and drastic rise in sea levels have left most areas underwater, with significant casualties expected in those areas. And even worse, there are now isolated reports of attacks from creatures that are residing in these waters taking place as well. Thankfully, authorities here in Kentucky have not yet reported any flooding or attacks today, but are advising citizens that it is quite likely that refugees may be entering the state via Tennessee throughout the day today. We also have received word that similar attacks and cases of flooding is taking place on both the east and west coasts, and even some reports from South America, although these reports are scarce at this time. Here, on 89.3 WFPL, we will continue to provide you all the information about any possible dangers to life and property, should any reports or advisories come in that pertain to the Louisville metropolitan area. Once again, in local news, FEMA has set up an emergency operations station near Fort Knox around 9 a.m. this morning, and are advising anyone who is in need of a hot meal or a shower that they can visit this emergency operations station to do so, as some of the area is suffering from power outages. We are now going to interrupt programming to participate in the emergency notification system. We will be back after the conclusion of the alert. Please stand by.
The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Governor's Office and the United States government. This is an evacuation watch for the state of Kentucky. This evacuation watch will take effect as of 12:15 p.m. today, and will remain in effect until further notice. Flooding continues to impact the southern United States at this time, with reports now stating all of Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana are now completely submerged, and that early reported attacks from creatures resembling demons from these floodwaters have since been confirmed, and are occurring in all areas that are experiencing flooding. At this time, the sea levels are currently around 600 feet above normal in the Gulf of Mexico, and sea levels from the Atlantic Ocean are currently around 750 feet above normal, and countless areas on the eastern coast are also now submerged, and attacks from the same creatures reportedly present in the Gulf of Mexico have also been reported, with at least 25 of these creatures wreaking havoc in Massachusetts at this time. Sea levels are currently rising at a rate of around 45 feet per hour, and while flooding is not expected to impact the state for a few hours at this time, an evacuation watch has been placed into effect for the state. Citizens should be aware of the ongoing situation, and should seriously consider evacuating further inland. Evacuations at this time are purely voluntary, and citizens should be aware that, if they wish to remain in their homes, they may do so. However, this may change in the coming hours as conditions evolve, and situations possibly begin to deteriorate further in regards to safety in the state. If you wish to evacuate at this time, please take the following actions. Prepare an emergency supply kit comprised of non-perishable food and water that can last your family at least 14 days, a battery or crank-operated radio with spare batteries, an extra set of clothing for each member of your family, a warm blanket for you and the rest of your family. You should also take with you a first aid kit, along with any medications which are vital to your well-being, as well as a flashlight with extra batteries, in the case your flashlight needs a replenishment of energy. Due to the nature of the emergency, please unplug any electrical appliances, and shut off gas, water, and electricity before leaving to embark upon your journey. And most importantly, remain calm, and do not panic. Once again, remain calm, and do not panic. Panic has been proven to lower your chances of survival, and will do nothing but worsen your well-being. At this time, you may also evacuate further north and into Canada, and as of 1 p.m. this afternoon, the border to Canada will be completely opened, and you will be free to enter Canada at your leisure, without need for any identifying documents. Further information will be transmitted as it becomes available. This is the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems will transmit this message. This is 89.3 FM WFPL. We will continue to serve the Louisville area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. We now return you to regularly scheduled programming.
As you just heard, the government has issued an evacuation watch for the state, as they believe that the disastrous flooding we earlier reported upon is expected to intensify and reach us here in the state of Kentucky. We also now have official confirmation that there are indeed creatures who are within the floodwaters, and that they are indeed attacking Americans. If you are just now tuning in, this is 89.3 WFPL, and we are bringing you the latest news and information about now ongoing floods and, dare I say, demonic attacks that are impacting the nation. I would like to encourage citizens to indeed think carefully and seriously about the merits of remaining here in the state. As with Louisville only sitting around 450 feet above normal sea levels, I would expect that it is only a matter of time until flooding reaches us here in the city. I think we have some of the cities in the already affected states that are far further above sea levels to thank for the current absence of flooding here at home. But again, flooding is only absent for now. I believe that flooding will indeed reach the state within a matter of hours, and if you have the capability to do so, gather your things and leave. We will continue to broadcast as long as we can, in order to bring you all the latest news and information for as long as we can. But if, for any reason, the station ceases broadcasting operations, take that as a sign that the flooding has reached us here at home. We are going to take a quick break here on 89.3 WFPL, but we will be back with more on this series of events shortly.
I've been working on getting things set in stone. Should be ready within the next year.
Very good. You are smart to trust in us.
You said that this is a way to make my mother survive. What choice do I have?
Yes. Yokane's condition is unique to Redlands, who live in a hostile environment for too long. Earth was never meant to be a home for her.
Was I a mistake?
No, Kay. You are not a mistake. You are a miracle.
All I've ever done is isolate myself. I don't see how I could be a miracle.
In due time, your purpose will present itself to you.
And what if it doesn't?
Mr. Hill, I can assure you that the United States government has every intention to support you, in whatever purpose presents itself.
Mr. Hill, my name is Ellen Nichols. I work for the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and I will be serving as your handler.
It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Nichols.
The feeling is mutual, Mr. Hill. I hope that I can be of assistance to you.
I apologize for not telling you this in advance, Kay. But some of your superiors have reservations about where your loyalties lie.
Can't say I blame them. Being the son of a pariah, most people don't even consider me human.
If it means anything, Kay, I consider you as human as anyone I know.
Mrs. Nichols served as a member of President Jacob's security detail. I'm quite sure you would recognize what she has sacrificed for humanity.
If I'm not mistaken, she was there the day that Eden tried to overthrow the government in 2016. Is that correct?
Yes. She also investigated an Eden operation deep in the Pacific.
They codenamed it Project Paradise, a completely isolated settlement approximately 50 miles down in the Pacific. We believe this is where they are holding your mother.
How did we get there?
Unfortunately, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to do this off the books.
I will be your only form of assistance from the U.S. government, Kay. To the agency, as of today, I was fired. In order to maintain the image of the U.S. government, I had to be ousted.
Have you ever been to Georgia, Kay?
I haven't. I assume that's where we need to go?
The City of America's Georgia has been selected as the primary operation location. We are in the process of relocating the true citizens and planting robotic decoys. We know that you don't appreciate killing without true reason.
Thank you. Prefer to keep my hands clean when at all possible.
We've decided that in approximately 4 years, we will conduct the operation. We will be piloting an experimental air fortress from the folks at NASA, and we'll be conducting deep mining in Americas. Currently, the DoD is creating deep tunnels both towards the abandoned Paradise settlement and our forward operating base here in the Midwest.
And when we dig deep enough,
We'll begin a false flag operation to disguise our true intentions. We will be proceeding in a highly modified Vertol VZ2 VTOL directly to Paradise.
meantime, I presume that you want me to assemble a strike team for this operation.
Your father will be taking care of that, Kay. He owes us a favor for the chaos he caused us, exposing the truth about the Whiteout of '84.
He's taking me as some use to me.
He wants your back just as much as you do, Kay. They've been married for almost 50 years. He deserves to save her for once.
Much collateral damage as possible.
The DoD believes that the only threat to the operation is a slim chance of a spatial impact.
The citizens on TRAPPIST have been encountering signals from Wasp 121b.
It is highly unlikely anything will come of it. The DOJ has already served the founder of Eden. They will comply with our operation.
Thank you. When should we next interface?
I'll be in contact if needed. Good luck, Mr. Hill.